you want to be strong, but you want to be taken care of. And a lot of women are kind of stuck in between, like, which side do I pick? And I think the important thing to realize is you don't actually have to pick a side.
Black women have had this level because they had no one to lean onto. You get? So that's why I say I want to be independent in the eyes of the society, but I still want to be dependent on that person. Probably I want to spend the rest of my life with.
And society keeps telling these boys that you are the head of the house. She ain't gonna tell you nothing. And that is all what they are keeping in their head. They're not working on themselves. They're not learning and unlearning, because they are like, I've learned this, I won't unlearn it because I am comfortable in this situation. Why do you want me to unlearn and get vulnerable? Because if I unlearn, I'll get vulnerable and they get to see me as a lesser person. So, hi guys. I am very, very hyped and excited today. I will try my best to calm down, because for me and for us at Footprint, this is a very special video in a special occasion. So by the time this video airs, it's gonna be International Women's Day. And at Footprint, we decided to not talk about environmental protection today, because I feel like blogs, associations, groups of women in the energy or environmental sector will respectfully do the job for us during this International Women's Day. So at Footprint, some of my favorite women at Footprint, we decided to just talk authentically about how we young women feel as women. So before we get into it, I will let each and every one of my girls to introduce herself. So we start with Vanessa. Maybe you tell us what you do in life and then what you do at Footprint, and before we get into it.
Hello, everyone. Hello, good people. So my name is Vanessa, and I am the censeur. I think that's how you pronounce it, because my French is horrible. At Footprint. So that is my title, I guess. And in real life, I am a therapist, a psychotherapist, and a TEFL teacher. So I teach English as a second language, and I also do psychotherapy and work in psychology and do assessments. So that is what I do. Yes, and I'm based right now in the Bahamas, and I work with this amazing organization called Footprint, and I'm really great to be here. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, our baby. So tell us about you.
Good day, good evening, everyone. My name is, I guess, Priscilla. I'm a student. I study computer science, and I'm also a small content creator. But hopefully, 2023, I'm going to go viral. Yeah, I'll have money for my content creation. Anyways, at Footprint, my job is literally I'm in charge of the various accounts, various social media accounts. I would put it that way. So literally promoting Footprint online, if I would put it that way. Yeah. Happy Women's Day, everybody. Thank you.
Happy Women's Day, I guess. So today, literally, we wanted to have like a conversation like we usually have. Like it would just be public today, because this is how we normally talk every single day. So the very first kind of question will turn to Vanessa, because she's a therapist. I've been having free sessions every single day. So you better take advantage of her. So before you tell me what type of woman you think you are, I was curious. I wanted to know, in our society today, women are really voicing their needs. But at the same time, women, and especially Black women, are always referred to as strong women. But now I do feel like the strong women are really weak inside, or are kind of becoming weak because they don't want to be referred to as strong women. You see, the one that you should see them as a woman as a whole. Sometimes I'm weak, sometimes I'm vulnerable, sometimes I'm emotional. Do you feel like today women are getting weak on purpose just because they don't want to be referred to as strong women?
It's a loaded question. Okay. On one hand, I've heard the trope, at least from Black women in America, where they will say, "Yes, I'm a strong Black woman," and because of that, I think society puts more burden on them, and so now they've kind of flipped it. So now it's almost like, "Oh, I'm helpless, I'm weak, I can't do anything, I need someone else to take care of me." And so you have those two competing ideas, like butting heads with each other. So it's very confusing, and I'm seeing it spread out to the rest of the world. The same kind of mindset of you want to be strong, but you want to be taken care of, and a lot of women are kind of stuck in between, like, which side do I pick? And I think the important thing to realize is you don't actually have to pick a side, that you can be strong in some things when it is necessary for you to be strong. Like, for example, standing up for yourself when someone is disrespectful or violent towards you, that you can use your words, you can stand up for yourself, and you can be strong in that sense. But at the same time, we should also be vulnerable enough that we can be weak, or we can admit when we need help. And I think for women in this day and age, we want to prove ourselves so much that we don't want to admit, hey, I need some help, because that puts us in a place of, I could be taken advantage of. At least in their mind, they think I could be taken advantage of. And the reality is if you surround yourself with good people, whether they're men or women, and you need help, you have that support system that you can go to. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your answer. I'll jump literally into our baby. She's not okay. She's not happy when I call her our baby. So the next question is for, I guess, Jael. So Jael, you are the youngest. You are in your mid-20s, and you are in a foreign country. So the first question I had for you is, like, do you feel like being in a foreign country as a young Black woman, you often have to step up for yourself? And do you also think that the woman you are today birthed because you were in a foreign country and you always had to kind of fight for yourself and step up for yourself?
First of all, when you're abroad, especially if you're not like, I don't know, you have family or friends around. But my case is different, I would say. I have my brother here, but it's different, you know. The age gap between my brother and I is just a big gap. So we are not like the typical brother and sister, because he's like my father and everything. I've always been the type to stand up for myself, except if we're very close, I'll be very vocal about how I may see you as a person and stuff. But on the other hand, I've noticed that being in China has instead made me to be humble. Yeah, I'm going to put it that way, because I was the type who doesn't take nonsense. Like, no matter your age, I will stand up for myself. I used to be that type. If you talk nonsense, it's not because of your age that you deserve respect. So coming to China has made me realize that it's not everything that you have to react to. It's not everyone that you have to respond to. So sometimes you have to keep your calm. Yeah. So I've instead learned to shut up when I need to shut up and to talk when I need to talk. Even though I'm not perfect in this area, Lisa knows I've pissed her off so many times. So yeah, I'm working on that, but it has made me to be more and more humble, because abroad is just different. I don't know how to put it. It's just different, especially when we are in a different culture. Chinese are very different. They are not people who are very direct about their thoughts. They might have something against you, but they'll be smiling. And so you don't really know what's going on in somebody's head. So you can't just react to everything. Yeah. So coming to China, living here has just made me to like try to learn how to observe a situation before reacting instead of reacting before using my brain. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. I mean, thinking before acting is something we should all learn, no matter where you are in the globe. Vulnerability is something we as Africans, we refuse ourselves to be vulnerable. I would say this, especially men, because us women, people are like, you're a woman, you're vulnerable. But for me, especially, I feel like you can't be authentic without being vulnerable. Because when you're vulnerable, you kind of express your inner self, your real emotions. So for me, someone who's coming to me and does not accept, because you have to accept to be vulnerable. If you don't accept to be vulnerable, you are not authentic for me. So I don't know what you girls think about that.
Is that society puts such a negative cloak on top of that word, right? So you can be vulnerable. And like you said, it means that you're open and you're honest and you are humble in some respects. And you're in a position where if you need help, you have the ability to ask for it, whether you're a man or a woman. And I think society puts that as, oh, if you're vulnerable, you're weak or you're less than, or you're some type of negativity is attached to it. And I think the problem with that is it doesn't allow people to be openly vulnerable when they need to be. And I think also for women, we get slapped almost with that label to say, oh, you're vulnerable, so you're weak and you can't do anything and you're incapable of whatever the thing is, right? And it's almost a tactic that is used by society. I won't say just men, because women do this to each other as well. But society in general uses that label and that negativity associated with that word to kind of silence women and to make them feel less than. And the problem is as women, especially on this Women's Day, we should take that word back. We should take the power back from that word, that it's okay for us to be vulnerable. It's okay to teach our children, whether they're male or female, to be vulnerable. Yes, teach them to be strong. Yes, teach them to be self-sufficient, but also teach them that vulnerability is okay. And you are allowed to be vulnerable, and nobody should be able to take away your autonomy in choosing whether you need to be vulnerable in this particular moment or not. And I think if more of us in our generation were to mentor younger girls, it would be better, because we would be able to guide them a little bit better than maybe we were guided. Because if you think about it, our parents were probably the baby boomers. And so that generation, you didn't show any vulnerability for many of them. So for us to be now in the generation where everybody's showing vulnerability, everybody is like a victim now, where they're too vulnerable. So it's kind of like we have to find that balance, and we have to find that place of equilibrium so that we can operate in vulnerability when we need to. And we can also teach the next generation of women that it's okay to be vulnerable, but that doesn't mean that you're less capable or that you're not strong when the situation requires you to be.
Thank you very much. Now let's kind of get deep into our topic of today. And I'll start with Again, I'm sorry, I'm always bringing up your age. Sorry, my bad. Maybe I feel like, I hope I was 25 or younger again. So whatever, you as a young woman today, what woman do you think you are? Do you feel like you are not yet the woman you want to be, and you aspire to be like another version of you, or you feel like you are already in that season of the woman you want to be? So what woman do you think you are?
That's a hard question, though. Because I was really thinking yesterday, like, what woman am I? Like, it's actually a hard question because first of all, um, I don't really see myself yet as a woman because I don't feel like I've fully matured. First of all, I still feel like I'm a baby. I'm still a girl. So yeah, first of all, that's it. I don't feel like I'm a full grown woman. I'm still growing. And I still don't know the kind of woman I want to be exactly because my ideas keep changing. There are things which I keep learning and unlearning, and yeah. But for the meantime, the kind of woman I want to be is first of all independent, but not the oh I'm independent blah blah blah. No, not the one that will be eating her husband's money regardless. Yeah. So independent in the eyes of the society. Yeah, I can do it. um sh- I can't say strong because going back to the question you asked Vanessa, which was talking about strong black women. I think that word came as a fact of the irresponsibility of black men because looking at statistics, we've seen how black men, especially in America, have been acting over the centuries, how irresponsible most of them have been. So I think black women have had this level because they had no one to lean onto. You get? So that's why I say I want to be independent in the eyes of the society, but I still want to be dependent on that person. Probably I want to spend the rest of my life with or my family, but I'm still dependent. It doesn't take that my independence, I can say my financial independence will not take the fact that I have to be dependent on other people who are close to me. So yeah, I think it was just like they were forced because of the conditions to be in that position of being the strong, independent black woman. And so they've been going on with this level for so long that it has just been a stereotype. I'll put it that way. So when most black women would try to rest in their femininity, is something which is seen as strange, and people will be like that trying to act. Uh, hello, my battery. So people will actually try to say they're acting as white women because the masculinity has been labeled to has been a black woman's label, and femininity or softness has been a white woman's label. So I just think it's because of the conditions, as we say in Cameroon, condition na condition being jangai back then. So it's not because they wanted to. And I've been so used to it, and the black men don't even change and they don't take accountability for how they have been acting. Yeah, so I feel like that's why they're in that position. So I personally don't want to be in that position. I want to be soft, only princess treatment. So the kind of woman I really want to be is that kind of woman, like I have my own things going on because most African women, their whole life or their whole identity revolves around their husband. And to me, that's not something I want for myself. I want to be that kind of person that no matter what happens, I still have somewhere to place my foot. In African countries, in most African countries, or even in China, they say a woman is like a water which is poured out, like literally. If there's some kind of property to inherit, they'll not put it in the woman's name, except maybe you're the only daughter or anything, like you're poured out. So if you don't have like family to lean on to, or you're not even from a rich background that no matter what happens, you have someone to lean on, you have to get your own things together. So first of all, I want to be financially independent, most especially. Like I always tell my friends, the girlfriends, like, be financially independent. Be financially independent. And I personally don't believe in these gender roles, especially like in the setting of a marriage or a home, because I feel like each person should be able to have basic skills. And when I'm talking about basic skills, I mean cooking, cleaning, and being able to earn money. Like you should be educated. I think that's the basis for every human being. So yeah. So for now, I feel like the rich auntie title is kind of cool though. Because from statistics that single, happy, they have their money, they have their own things going. Yeah, it's all nice. So honestly, for now, I still don't know. I'm in a very confused state because I see what's happening. And there are some things which used to be very attractive to me right now that are just scary, like marriage. Yeah. And childbearing and all these things. Um, I don't know if I'm saying a lot, but I don't know
You're
if I'm
good. You're good, don't worry. But
if I'm
yeah, go on.
yeah. So first of all, most importantly, a successful career. Yeah, a successful career. Because I feel like the respect that goes with it, first of all. Mm-hmm. And also I know that most men they get why you make your face like that?
Like, sorry, maybe the therapist will tell me. I feel like successful women, is it fear or respect that follow successful women today? I feel like it's more of fear than respect, because when somebody will see a successful woman, a man, for example, I don't think he will be like, this is attractive. I feel like he would
Yeah,
feel like,
that's what I was
should
going
I?
to. Actually going to. As I was saying, most men are intimidated by a successful woman, like successful according to the society, like okay, she has her own business and everything, she has her money. So most men are intimidated by that, by a woman who is successful. So that's what I was going to say, like me being successful will help me like reduce the options to people who are fit. You get, like if you're already intimidated by my success, then I don't even want to be around people like that. Like why? If you're already intimidated by me earning more than you, then you have a weak ego, and that will go a long way. For example, if we're just having a normal conversation, and for example, I know you're a man, but I know more football than you, and your ego can't take it now. So, yeah, being successful will actually help you because people's ego will actually show the kind of people they are. They get exposed easily, and it will be easier for you to eliminate those people instead of you being in a position later on, maybe when you're married to that person or when you're really close friends and they do something you never expected them to do because you didn't show any signs of power or success or anything that would have brought out that character in them. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to like let marinate what a guest was saying, because the girl was just dropping bombs and bombs and bombs. But I want to ask Vanessa, because I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling type of way. Do you feel like there's a little bit of trauma there, not into a guest, but into young women today? Because how come girls or young ladies today, they are like, I want to make my own money. I want to be independent. I don't want to rely on anybody. Do you feel like it's coming from a type of trauma, or where is it coming from? I'm just curious if you have an answer for me.
First of all, in my case, I feel like it's from trauma, if I'll put it that way, experience, and also from what I'm seeing. So sometimes you might feel like maybe you're just the odd one who has that kind of experience, but you grow up and you see more women going through that, and you just feel like marriage is not attractive. It's not what was sold to us. I'm not against marriage. I'm actually pro marriage, but what kind of marriage? People have pushed this idea of women getting married like our value is based on how successful our marriage is. And to me, it just makes no sense. When women do something, it's not acceptable. But when a man does worse, it's acceptable because of the different genders. And I don't understand. First of all, I'll take my case. I didn't grow up with my father. Not because he was dead, not because he was handicapped, not anything. Someone alive, but still very irresponsible. And there's something I don't understand is how people, when I open up to them, when I'm being vulnerable to them, with this kind of trauma, as Lisa was saying, we Africans, we have been trained to think that we don't have that kind of emotion. So when I've opened up to close friends, to them, it's as if they don't like have that sympathy all they'll be telling me is, in our African society, no matter what, he's your father, and tomorrow if you get married, he's going to take your bride price. Like, what's the connection? Like, what's the connection? I don't understand. We are expected as children who have been traumatized by the kind of parenting, our parents' education or lack of education, whatever it is, like the way they raised us or their absence. We're expected as children to just forgive them and be close to them. You see many people who didn't have good parents or who didn't even grow up with their parents. They'll tell them in the end when the adults, but they are your parents, you have just one parent. People don't want to heal from trauma. They think that it's normal just because we're Africans, we are Black, we are meant to be strong. I don't understand. Okay, back to the topic. First of all, in my case, is the trauma. Seeing an irresponsible father like that, to me, I feel like most men out there are the same. Because today, if we watch this podcast, you'll see the way some men reason and you ask yourself if they have brains. Because it's no longer at the point of not being educated. I've had these conversations with even my friends who have gone out of the country, gone out of the continent, but they still have this kind of mindset of expecting a woman to work, but come back clean and cook for him. And all you do is just to go to work like me. We are not back in the 60s. It's not 1919 where we are in 2023. Your salary can't afford to take care of a whole family. And if both of us are working, you should have a brain to think like a proper human being, to know that, okay, we both are working, we both should be taking care of the things around the house. So this is my advice. I don't know if I can give you advice because you're all older than me and I think you've experienced more. But I always tell my friends, like, before you get in with a guy, these are the kind of conversations you need to have with him so that tomorrow you will not be shocked. You'll not be shocked. And sometimes these conversations, they get heated. So no matter how much he can be faking it, he will still expose himself. So first of all, it's trauma and the kind of things I've been seeing around me, how women will literally take every nonsense from their husbands just because they don't want a divorce. And if you have that tag on you as a woman, as a divorcee, society will see you as trash, as an outcast, whatever. But for a man, it's always different. A man's cheating is accepted. You as a woman, you're sitting in there on your own, being faithful to your husband, being the good wife. That's why they say good girls don't pay anymore. You be the good wife in your home, you get cheated on, HIV, all sorts of sickness burned upon you, all sorts of soul ties with the women he's having an affair with on you. You are being beaten up, and other women, that's the part that gets me. The way some African women are so traumatized that they don't even know they're traumatized and they don't even see anything wrong with their thinking, that they, the woman who have undergone this, will be telling other women to say, no, it's okay, I went through the same thing, you're not the first who was beaten. The nonsense that has been accepted in our society as a norm is I don't understand. So that's what I'm saying. Being independent, it helps you to be rational in your decision making. Most of these women, they're not just scared of the fact that they'll have that name tag of being a divorcee, but also the part that they are completely, entirely dependent of their husbands financially. So after that, you don't even know where to place your feet. You don't even know where to go to. So having this financial independence at least will help you to make a better decision when it comes to situations faced with an unfaithful partner or someone who is not even emotionally available in general. Yeah. Thank you.
So Vanessa, I will let you answer that again, but I am feeling so bad actually, because I'm like, look what society did to us. And I'm happy you said it, like, us, this generation, we should do better. We better do better. So I'll just let you speak while I'm like, I'll try not to cry because it's hurtful.
So let's unpack several of the things that Ige said, because facts, sis, facts. Okay. First of all, this whole notion of the women should be in the home, I'm not opposed to that. If that's what you want to do, sis, do you. If you want to be a homemaker, do you. If you want to take care of kids and take care of the home and you don't want to work, okay. I support women who want to do that. I also support the women who want to go and have a career and take care of their family. I also support women who want to have a career and don't want a family, because we live in an age where we are so privileged that we have a choice. Whereas our grandparents didn't have a choice. Some of our parents didn't have a choice. So we're living in one of the most privileged generations. And the problem is we take that for granted in a way. So some of us take it for granted, and then others abuse that privilege. And so that's frustrating, but that's another topic for another time. When it comes to women who want, who have a relationship where they go to work, come home, and they still have to do everything in the house, I've counseled women like that. I've counseled their husbands, and I've said, like, you're not a king at a castle, because if you were, you would be working and your whole paycheck would take care of this house. She shouldn't have to work. So if you want to come home and not do anything in your house, then your paycheck needs to take care of everything in this house, and this woman needs to be home and not work, because that's how that dynamic works. Now, if that's what y'all want, and your paycheck and his paycheck can do that, great. But the reality is, for many people in society, with inflation, with the economy crashing and everything else, it is not practical. It's not feasible for one person to work and the other person stay at home. Both people have to work to make ends meet. We're not living rich. We're just trying to make the first of the month and the last of the month connect, right? We're trying to just make it month to month. So if that's the case, I agree with Jael, where she said there shouldn't be gender roles. We can have gender roles in the sense that one person may be more geared towards a particular thing within the home, but that doesn't mean that the other partner does not help at all. So if I'm working 9 to 5 and my husband is working 9 to 5 and we come home, let's say I come home before him, I don't have a problem getting dinner started because I'm home first. But when he walks in the door, don't say, oh, I need 10 minutes to decompress, which is fine. In an ideal world, yes, take your 10 minutes, decompress. But if there are 2 kids screaming at me and I'm trying to get dinner ready and I have to deal with you saying, oh, I have to take a break, that's not okay for me, because like when do I get to take a break? Because you're going to come back from your 10-minute break and then you're going to want dinner, and then you're going to eat, and then you want to go and talk to your boys or play Call of Duty or some other stuff. And I still have to deal with these kids. But I've just finished working a 9 to 5 too. So when it comes to being in a relationship, when people say it's a partnership, it is truly a partnership. It is never 50-50. I don't know who came up with that, because it's stupid. It's 100 and 100. You give 100, I give 100, we make this work. If I come home and I'm so exhausted, I can't even lift my foot through the door, then you as my husband should take on those kids for 5 minutes or 10 minutes to give me that time to decompress. We should be sharing the load. I didn't make these children by myself, so why am I taking care of them by myself? So the labor you don't see, they call it invisible labor. So the invisible labor that both people in that home share needs to be respected. And I think that even on this Women's Day, we're still fighting to be respected. We're still fighting to say our invisible labor is valid. Our invisible labor is natural. They did an experiment a few years ago, well, actually almost 20 years ago now, where they took all the women out of a village and just left the men and children. And the village literally began to die, because the kids were dying, crops were dying, animals were dying. And the people were like, but the men do all the farming, but the men take care of the animals. Why is the village dying? And it was because women play a vital role in the betterment of society. And when you remove them, when you erase them, whether you are teaching them to be men, teaching them to be strong, teaching them to be masculine, or you're having transgendered women telling us how to be women, or you're having men disrespecting us and regarding us as not viable enough except as baby makers and house cleaners, then you find that society is dying. And if you look at the state of America, is the most in the news. It's the biggest, the loudest creature on the planet, right? So when you look at their society, they are dying. We are actively watching a nation die. before our very eyes because of the way that they have treated their women for such a long time, that they're creating strong women, or they're creating women who are not walking in their purpose, right? And that doesn't mean that they have to be masculine or feminine or something in between, but it means that women play a role in society. Women play a role in the family. Women play a role in home and other family life and everything else. And if we remove their purpose, you will see society die. Now, that's not to say if we remove men's role, society won't die. It will also die. But we're focusing on the fact that women do play a role and they should be recognized for playing a role. Now, that's not to say, well, we clap for every little thing a woman does, right? We do a lot, and that's a lot of clapping, and ain't nobody got time for that. But that when it is done in such a way that it is being erased or it's being disregarded, that is when women need to stand up and say, hold on, because if I wasn't here, this wasn't going to get done. Or if I wasn't here, this wouldn't happen. So just acknowledge the fact that, yes, we play a role. Yes, we are part of society, and it's a good thing. And then we move on. So that's the first thing. The next thing is these podcasts, like Jael was saying, where people are talking about how men and women should be and blah, 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 and value, and are you a 10, are you not, and all this other foolishness. The problem with that is they're taking it from like a 1950s American viewpoint of, oh, the man went to work, the woman stayed home. And I have to tell you, that was a lie. That was a propaganda pushed by the government because World War II had just ended. Women had been in factories. Women had been making the parachutes and the artillery and the weapons and the uniforms for the soldiers. They had been working while the men were off fighting a war. And when the men came back, they had PTSD. They had all their other traumas from war. And they didn't know how to function in society. And now there were no jobs because the women were doing the work in society. And so the American government got together and said, well, how do we get women back in the home? And how do we get men back in the workforce? So they created this 1950s housewife motif where they had these, and there's adverts. You can Google and YouTube these adverts, they're still out there, where they talked about how women should be in cute little dresses with their hair pinned up perfectly and their makeup done perfectly, and they should be in the home cooking and cleaning and kissing their husbands goodbye while their husbands go back to work with a briefcase in hand. And so we have these podcasters who should probably get real jobs. But anyway, these podcasters who are promoting this. Oh, well, our grandparents did this. And I'm like, yeah, because a war just was fought and they had to. And they wanted the men to be working instead of sitting home, stewing in their trauma, which is what they were doing. They were home, they were depressed, they had no purpose. It was hard for them to find jobs because the women all had the jobs because they were used to working. It had been 5 years. This war spanned over 5 years. And women had been working for about 5 years. So they were used to this, right? And so in order to get the men out of the house and back to work, to doing the hard things, the hard labor like construction and electrical work, because, and don't get me wrong, I don't do labor. No. So if my man wants to be a construction worker, okay, cool. Because I'm not going to be the one to do it. I'm not one of those women who are like, oh, well, if a man can do it, I can do it. No, there are some jobs that I will not be attempting to ever do in this life. So when you see society trying to kind of balance it out again, and then now we have these modern day men who are taking that and saying, oh, well, this is what happened before in our grandparents' day, and not looking at the bigger picture and the context of it is the reason why it happened. I find that to be very disrespectful to both sexes. It's disrespectful to men and it's disrespectful to women. But in my opinion, it's especially disrespectful to women because you're kind of saying, oh, the women should go back to being the government generated stereotype of the 1950s. And you had, and I always mention that it's a very American thing because if you look at historical events, the Gaelic people, the Vikings, women were warriors. Women went out there and fought wars with their men. Then they came home and breastfed their babies. That's what they did. And then you have other men who, if their wife was at war because it was a female led battle, they were home taking care of the kids. This is in Viking history. This is in European history. And so, and the same thing happened on the continent of Africa. There's so many tribal historical facts that dictate that women were warriors alongside their men. And they also participated in home life, where the men did the farming and alongside their women, they took care of the kids alongside their women. And so when we have this modern day rewriting of history as to what society should be as it regards women, I find it like almost comical. And I look at people and say, you don't know the history of the world, do you? Like you should probably go and read up on that. Right. So there's all of these different things. And I firmly believe that, yes, we've gone too far in one aspect. Right. And I think to balance it out, I tell people this all the time when I counsel people: be yourself. Just be yourself. If you want to work, do that. But if a man comes into your life and wants to marry you, don't treat him like, oh, I can do it, I don't need your help. Like, don't be so abrasive and have that wall up that when someone is genuinely offering you help, that you reject it. And at the same time, when a man comes into your life, or anybody, even if it's a woman, comes into your life and kind of puts you down because you want to work or because you want to be a stay-at-home wife or mother, then you also stand up for yourself in that aspect. So you can then take on a more forceful position and say, no, I'm going to do this because I want to. So I think we in ourselves have to have that balance, and we have to raise the next generation with that balance. And also, when it comes to picking a partner, eventually, if we decide to pick a partner, that we pick one who's going to be our equal, in the sense that we work together to solve a problem instead of working against each other.
Hey, Vanessa, thank you so much for your input. A lot of good history was added there. I will come back to you because I'm still waiting on you to tell me what type of human you think you are. But before that, I wanted to share a little bit my perspective on the 50-50 thing, because people are like, today's society is like supposed to be 50-50, men 50, women 50. And you were like, I don't think that. For me, it's supposed to be 100-100. And for me personally, I think it is supposed to be like kind of, it depends, because someday I can be 40 and I expect you to be 60, and someday I'm 20, I expect you to be 80. For us, at the end of the day, in our household, it is supposed to be 100%. You see, because most of the time when you are just like maybe 50-50, it happens that I can't give 50%. But since you're my partner and we're in a partnership, I expect you to come and fill that gap. You see, but if we block our mind and be like, it should be 50-50, by the moment I've given what I have to give, girl, do what you have to do. So for me personally, I always feel like at the end of the day, at the household, we're supposed to be 100%, but it can happen that today you're 1% and I'm 99%, tomorrow I'm 2% and you're 98%. That was just my view on that. And I'm coming back to you. Vanessa Carpenter, what woman do you think you are?
Thanks for the question. I just before I answer that, I do agree. I think in the household it should be 100%. So from my perspective, I was saying that you give that 100% to your society, your personal society, your little ecosystem, your family, your husband, whatever. But yeah, if I can only give you 30%, I expect my partner to pick up that slack, because I may be in a position where I can't give more than that. And then on days when he can't give, then I pick up the slack for him, because as you said, it's a partnership. It has to be a partnership. And then that goes back to what I was saying earlier about balance. There has to be a balance. But yeah, so the type of woman I am, girl, let me tell you, I always tell people this: if you say you've arrived, you've lost the plot. because I don't feel like I've arrived. I have not achieved what I think I should have achieved in this life. I think we're all on a journey. We're all progressing towards something. However, I have not arrived. I am still on that journey, and that's okay. I'm totally okay with that. I am comfortable in that. I think as far as a woman, as I get older, because I'm inching towards 40, got like 2 years before 40. Oh my God. Um, so for me, the older I get, the more I realize I'm becoming more conservative in that sense, where I love the idea of taking care of a home. I love the idea of, yes, I want to work, and yes, I want to have my own financial independence, as JL said, but I want to have that, like, almost that security and that safety of being in the home, and having a husband who comes home to me and to our children. Like, I like that idea. But if mama wants to go out and be a boss for a day or a week or a month, I will go and do this. And I want a partner who will support me in that. And I think the reason I feel this way is I've had a really great example. My parents are phenomenal in that sense. Like, my mom has a PhD, and comparison, my dad has a 10th grade education. So he was different. He was born at the beginning of World War II. So he was a lot, his life path was a little bit different. And so he left school at 10th grade and went to work, because you could back then. You could do that. And then he got some certifications in banking and finance, because you could do that at night, night school and stuff. And so he decided to do that. He made way more money than my mom, but he didn't have the same level of education. And in my house, that wasn't an issue. There was never any, oh, well, I have more than you and did it. It was never like that. They were really a partnership. So I got to see what a proper partnership looks like. And then I got to see, like, when there were days where my mom couldn't keep up, she was tired from work, whatever, my dad would cook dinner. He always made breakfast. My dad did the laundry. My dad ironed our clothes. That wasn't something my mom did. My dad did that. So I'm watching this man who goes outside and puts new shingles on the roof and paints the house and gets up on a ladder and goes up to a 2-story building and fixes the lights. Like, I'm watching him be a man's man, right? And then he'll come back home and he will put the laundry on. And he doesn't care about my underwear. He does not care. He's putting that in the laundry. And so, like, I'm seeing this balance between the soft and the hard in both of my parents. And so when I start dating and I hear these men go, oh, I don't do that, I'm like, excuse me? Like, I am used to my father not being shy about being vulnerable as a man and being soft as a man. And I'm used to seeing my mom be soft as a woman and also strong as a woman. So I try to instill that in the women that I mentor, the young women I mentor, because you should never have to settle. And I know society tells us, oh, if you're past a certain age, you better settle. No. Settle for what? Settle for what? What are you settling for? A hard life? No. Only bring me softness. If I have to have a hard life, let me be single. Because the person that I connect to should not be giving me a hard life. If you're going to bring me a hard life, I could be in hell by myself. I don't need you to add to it. I don't need you to bring it to me. Right? I could create hell all by myself. So if you're going to be connected to me, and I think women should have that kind of viewpoint, that if you are going to connect to me, if I'm going to be bringing something to your table, you're bringing something to my table. And I hate that analogy, but I'm going to use it. If you're coming into my life, I'm coming into your life, and we're connecting our lives together, I should be bringing you heaven and you should be bringing me heaven. If we have a problem, it's us against the problem, not us against each other. So as when we have that kind of standard, if we create that kind of standard, and this is what I've created for myself. So this is the type of woman that I am. Like, I have created a standard where I will give everything to life, to relationships, to career, to being with family. I give everything. And I'm not scared of giving everything. I think if I'm going to get burnt out, let me get burnt out doing what I love for people I love. Right? Because I'm the type of woman that I generate friendships and relationships where I have that support system. And it's not hard because there have been people who have pretended to be that person that you could count on. And then you find out that they're not solid, right? And that happens in life. And the sooner you find out about it and weed those people out, the better. So I would say as a woman, I'm far more conservative. I'm very open to new experiences and new things and meeting new people and just interacting with the world at large. And I try to remain humble and I try to remain peaceful about that. But at the same time, I have a standard, and my standard is high because I had a good father who set that standard. And I know for a lot of women, they have a bad example of whether it's a mother or a father, they have a bad example. And I always say, don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as this is what I don't want. And when you look at it that way, then it's easier for you to create your standard based on what you don't want. So that's what I've kind of done. So that's the type of woman I am. But I'm not there yet. You know, we're still in process. The old people used to say you never pass anything till you're dead. Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, girls, thank you for your inputs. Like for me, especially before we end this talk, because I know we can keep going for hours, because that's how we normally are. We can speak for days. We can start a topic today and not end it. So for me personally, when someone asks me what type of woman you think you are, my answer is always like, I am an Iceland. I, Elizabeth Meng, aka Lisa Walker, I am an Iceland. So if you are wise and smart enough, you know you have to put in some work to get to me. And unless you're Jesus that you can walk on water to get to me, you know you have to ride that boat to get to me. So when you get to me, you better come grateful because you were not eaten by no crocodiles. You better come humble because you just got to your favorite amazing natural island ever. So when you get to me, you know that as I'm getting to the island, everything that I'm going to find is going to be like natural, no artificial. So when you're coming to me, you already know all what you're going to get because I feel like you're getting to the island because you're like, this is a natural island. It is kind of isolated. And I've heard kind of that there are a lot of interesting things there. So if I decide, again, unless I am Jesus, I want to walk on water to get to that island, I will put in some effort. So I won't tolerate the fact that after all the efforts you put in to get to me, you come in and you're ungrateful and you're not humble and you act like, okay, this island belongs to me. And on the other side, I hate the fact that just because you put in the effort when you get to the island, you think the island belongs to you. I'm sorry. I am the island. It does not belong to you. I'm just letting you in. So again, acknowledge the fact that you put in some work, some effort, be humble, be nice. Because if you're not nice, I will send some lions to kick you out of the island. So that's how I always answer the question. What woman do you think you are? I am an island. You're not Jesus. You're not going to work onto water to get to me. You put in some effort. So be humble about that. So, girls, before we stop talking, I'll ask a guest first. In what season are you? In what season are you right now? And which season do you feel like you want to be, like tomorrow, in 1 year, in 1 month?
Season I am. I think I answered that question when you asked me about the kind of woman I am. And I said it that I'm not yet a woman personally. So I'm in that season of complete growth because um, I'm still learning, unlearning, actually, to know what works for me because I feel like the way I see things change depending on the experience I have with maybe certain culture, certain people. Yeah, so um, for the moment, I'm in that season of growth and confusion because I still don't know where to place my feet on. Yeah. And what I want to be is where I'll be certain of what I know and I will not regret the decisions I'll make. Yeah.
Vanessa, I'm coming to you, but I don't know what's happening with Eges today. She's making some type of feelings to come out of me. Like, because when she was talking earlier, I was like, look at Eges, look at her age. Do you think she will settle for less? She won't. She will never settle for less. So, young man, if you have ears and you can see, if you know that you are less, she won't settle for that. And she's very young and she's already thinking like that. Please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I feel like women are kind of more mature than men. So the way it gets at that age is thinking is not the same way a 21, 22, 25-year-old boy is thinking. Meaning that when he said maybe a 25, 26-year-old boy will come to Jael, respectfully, he won't be at her level because she will be like, no, the way you think is not the same way I see things. So she won't settle. And I'm like, what is happening? What happened? You see? And society keeps telling this boy that you are the head of the house. She ain't gonna tell you nothing. And that is all what they are keeping in their head. They're not working on themselves. They're not learning and unlearning because they are like, I've learned this. I won't unlearn it because I am comfortable in this situation. Why do you want me to unlearn and get vulnerable? Because if I unlearn, I'll get vulnerable and a guest will see me as a lesser person. I won't. So I'm bold. I'll stay in foolishness respectfully and I am moving. So that's what I wanted to add. So Vanessa, you tell me what season are you into and what seasons do you think you want to get into? But yes, I guess.
Okay, I just wanted to add to what you said. I feel like one of the reasons most boys, I'll put it that way, most boys don't want to unlearn and learn some things is because the system favors them. The system favors men. And they feel comfortable in being like they take no accountability, that the head of the house, even though they don't contribute nothing, the system favors them. So if I'm somewhere, everything favors me for just being a gender, for just being born as a person. Why would I want to change? So the system favors them. I keep telling this my so-called friends here that the reason they don't want to learn and unlearn these things is because this system favors them. They are the head of the house. I give birth to my child after suffering 9 months. The child will take your name, not my name. I'll go to work, come back and cook clean for you. But you still be the man of the house. I'm more educated than you, but you're still the man of the house just because you are a man. So the system favors them. And I don't feel like
don't say it too loud. They will refer to you as a feminist.
Most people have referred to me as a feminist, but it's just they think like I hate men. I don't hate men, but I want them to take accountability and we change. But they don't want to. Like you just said it, they keep labeling me a feminist. I remember my ex high school boyfriend things that were so innocent and naive. I think all of us have grown up. The guy has this kind of mentality. And I just told myself that I'm not going to continue talking to people like this. He literally told me that for a marriage to work, the woman has to suffer for a marriage to work. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So they don't want to take any accountability because the system will favor them. If a man does something, let's go to the basic things of relationship like sex. A man's body count is seen as, oh, he's attractive, he's a man, but a woman's body count is seen as a slut. but there are more slutty men than women. So, anyways,
Vanessa, can you stop her? Vanessa, can you stop her because the child is dropping bombs?
Drop a money, drop them. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Seriously though, I think going off of that because whoo, all the gems. Oh, look at them sprinkling everywhere. The thing about it is, yes, society does favor what is always done, what it's always known, right? Because it's comfortable. And change is very uncomfortable. And people aren't going to change if they are uncomfortable. You have to move past that. What I find very effective is you move that person out of the comfort zone. So, for example, our grandmothers and our mothers pushed our generation to go there and get an education, right? To go to foreign countries. We all met in a foreign country. We didn't meet in our home countries, right? So we're pushed to say, go out into the world, figure it out, learn, buck your toe, buck your head, get a few bumps, get a few bruises. You'll be better for it. And yet we tend to coddle our boys so that we keep them close and we baby them. And so those men move from mommy's house to mommy number two, aka their wife's house. And so you can't expect that man to be a man if he has not been given the opportunity to grow. And that's why I say men should be, if you want to learn how to be humble real quick, move to a foreign country, especially one where you don't speak the language. Because you will be, it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, it doesn't matter. You will be humbled real quick. You will have to figure it out. You will have to learn on your feet. You're better for it. You are made better for it. And I think if more of our mothers and our generation push our boys to experience that humbling, that natural humbling that the world provides for human beings, then we would have a generation of men who, yeah, you could still be the head of the house. That's cool. But you're going to know how to treat your wife well without expecting her to be your servant and your mom and then drop it like it's hot in the bedroom. Because I don't know how they separate all of them things. Like, how you want a mommy every other day and then you want her to be wife in the bedroom? Like, how, I don't understand. Because that's just nasty to me.
I know, like what
you know what I mean?
With your mother.
Right? And then you want a servant. So you having sex with the help? Like what? It's giving slavery vibes. I'm just saying. So it's like there's that whole mentality of you can't understand how to behave properly unless you're put in situations where you have to learn new behavior. And I think the problem is we don't give our boys opportunity to learn better behavior. And the angle, like that's our fault. Because we're the mothers, we're the ones who are supposed to nurture them. We have them for the first 5 years of their life exclusively, right? And then when they can walk, talk, bathe themselves, go to the bathroom by themselves, then usually the men take over and they start training them and taking care of them or whatever, if the men are around. So I think we as women have to play a better role in that aspect. Now, to your question, what season am I in? I would say I'm in a season of preparation. I think I am still preparing for that next chapter. Like it's like literally at the door, it's knocking, but I'm preparing for the turning of the knob and the walking through that door. And I'm okay with that. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process. It's not always easy, but I respect the process. I think that God gives us paths and journeys to go on, and that we always look at the destination. We're like, oh, when I get there, I've arrived, I've done it. No, because, you could die tomorrow and then you haven't arrived anywhere, So appreciate the journey, appreciate the process. And that's where I'm at. I'm at that stage in life where I wish I was further along, but life be life in. But I am appreciating the journey because at least I get to have one. At least I get to have that opportunity and the opportunity to have the journey that I'm currently participating in. So yeah, preparation and expectation. Like I'm anticipating and expecting amazing things to happen. And if they don't, they don't. But at least I get to enjoy the journey.
Girls, thank you for feeding my soul. I know it's Lent time. You girls, you actually fed my soul. And I'm like, I don't know if I should stop calling you a baby. I don't know, because you talk about
she's a teenager now.
You talk about age, but maturity really has nothing to do with age. Like Jesus said, go and make disciples. I'm like, go and educate those men. Go out there and educate them, my dear. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Like, we are back in the grid, so you can all turn on your mic. So I really appreciated this time because I felt like we always have this type of discussions, but privately. And I was like, They say our day is on the 8th. So since it's our day, let's spice it up a little bit. So thank you. I don't know if you have a last word to say to young women, to women, or to men, or to yourself. If not the case, thank you. My season, before we go, I'm in the season of closet Christian. I mean, like, I'm being a Christian, but in the closet. I'm like, yeah, God, you say go out there, but wait, give me some time. I'm trying my best. Eh? So, come again?
Morife, don't run, accept the calling.
Oh my God, I'm like, wait, and he's pulling, I can feel like he's pulling. I'm like, wait, I'm sensitive. Don't do that. Like, I'm ashamed to say it, but I really feel like I'm a closet Christian because I feel like my spirituality is kind of growing these past months. So, and that's where you're like, you better be humble, girl, accept it. But when you are used to be someone that holds on everything, and you're like, I will do this, I will do that, this is where I want to go, knowing that you have to leave everything to someone, my brother. The pressure is getting worse. But yeah, girls, thank you for your time. And I like talking to you girls every single day. Vanessa, thank you for the free therapy, always, every month. Jael, thank you for everything. Yeah, you tell me before we go.
As you talked about earlier, that we girls mature more than boys. I don't know if it's something which is biological, like scientifically proven, but I have a point of view on this, which is like the education which is given to boys and girls, because we all know how girls are being raised and how boys are being raised. We are being raised as girls to be responsible. We are being raised to hold ourselves high. For example, oh, you can't go out at night, or you can't talk to this person, you can't talk to that person. You have to learn how to cook, you have to learn how to clean, you have to be educated and stuff. But for boys, it's literally different. Anyways, in the kind of society I grew up, they can go out anytime. They'll just be like, I'm coming, and that'll be it. But us, we have to take permission, where we are going, what time we are going, when we are coming. So I think, like, if we want this to change, we should also start with the kind of education we give our children. Yeah. Thank you.
Vanessa, anything to add?
Voila.
Mayor.
I'm good.
Mayor. So guys, thank you again. So hopefully when this airs, everybody will enjoy, because I really did. And yeah, Jael, we will just share your social media platform, because you say you're a content creator, so we're gonna put it out. Vanessa too will share your pages and social media and everything, so that we need more tribes behind this type of women. So again, I love you girls. I'll see you on WhatsApp, and
Bye. Thank you.